Yingluck's Puea party still runs the interim government and is hoping to organize a July 20 election that it would probably win, but the protesters want the government out, the election postponed, and reforms to end the influence of Yingluck's brother, former Premier Thaksin Shinawatra. And protest leader Suthep Thaugsuban, speaking to supporters in a city park, urged them to rally outside Parliament, the Prime Minister's offices and 5 television stations to prevent them being used by the government. And we will sweep the debris of the Thaksin regime out of the country, said Suthep, a former deputy premier in a government run by the pro-establishment Democrat Party. And Thaksin is vilified by his enemies as a corrupt crony capitalist. But he won the unswerving loyalty of legions of rural and urban poor with populist policies when he was prime minister from 2001 until he was ousted in a 2006 coup. And he lives in exile to avoid a 2008 jail sentence for abuse of power, but has been the guiding hand behind his sister's government. And protesters waving red, white and blue tie flags later set off from the park for rally sites, most in Bangkok's historic quarter. And the puppet Yingluck is gone, but our work is not over, said Porn Praser Chernalam, 39, who owns a small business in Samut Sakhon province, west of Bangkok. And the illegitimate Thaksin cabinet remains in power. Our next step is to give power back to the people. And some protesters held pictures of Thaksin and Yingluck with their faces crossed out. Others held banners that read, "Love Thailand, eradicate the Thaksin regime." And tens of thousands of the Shinawatras, red shirt supporters, angered by Yingluck's ousting, are also on their way to Bangkok for a rally on Saturday. They are clinging to the hope that the interim government will win the July election and bring the Shinawatras party back to power. An economic impact and the prospect of rival protesters in the capital over the weekend has raised fears of trouble. Both sides have armed activists in their ranks. And 25 people have been killed since the anti-government protests began in November. And about 21,000 police and troops have been deployed in the capital, authorities said, but there was little security presence on the streets on Friday. An acting Prime Minister Nuwatamrong Bunson, appointed by the caretaker government this week after Yingluck's ouster, told reporters the government was not expecting violence. And more trouble would deepen worry about Southeast Asia's second-largest economy, which is already teetering on the brink of recession amid weak exports, a year-long slump in industrial output and a drop in tourism, presided over by a caretaker government with curtailed powers. Consumer confidence fell to its lowest level in more than 12 years in April. And the anti-graft agency indicted Yingluck for negligence on Thursday, a day after the Constitutional Court threw her out of office, in connection with the rice subsidy scheme under which the state paid farmers way above market prices for their crops. And the scheme, a flagship policy of Yingluck's administration, was aimed at helping her rural supporters. But the government could not sell much of the rice it quickly stockpiled and was unable to pay many farmers. And if Yingluck is found guilty by the Senate, she could be banned from politics for 5 years. Several other members of the family and about 150 of Thaksin's other political allies have been banned for 5-year terms since 2007. And Yingluck dissolved parliament in December and called a snap election, but the main opposition party boycotted it and anti-government activists disrupted it so much it was declared void. And Yingluck and the Election Commission agreed last week a new ballot should be held on July 20, but the date has not been formally approved. And Thaksin or his loyalists have won every election since 2001. And the anti-government protesters say Thaksin buys elections. They want to change the electoral rules before new polls to try to stop his party winning again. And additional reporting by Amy Sawdilafavor. Writing by Robert Bursell, editing by Alan Raybould and Roy Gopalakrishnan.